It's the perfect time to hide under the covers and have a Halloween marathon. Now that Halloween Ends is out, the franchise has come to a close. You know what that means? Yep, it's time to watch each movie again and analyze things more closely. They've immortalized Michael Myers at this point, so in this video, we'll be talking about his deaths and ranking them from least to most ridiculous. Let's go. First, we have Dr. Loomis and his plank. In every movie or the other, Mike always seems to be one step ahead of the game. You think he's dead, then boom, the man comes back just as fast. Well, not as fast, but you get what we mean. That being said, there have been a lot of fake-out scenes where we, as an audience, are really tricked into believing he's past his expiry date. This ain't one of them. It still makes the list though, and we'll tell you why. In Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers, he ends up being imprisoned instead of dying, but the intent behind what happened is what counts. It's a high-speed chase in the most sinister way, and throughout all of it, you're super sure there's no way everyone else can escape his clutches. Myers doesn't kill Jamie, but he comes really close. Then, Dr. Loomis, his own doctor, traps him in a steel net. At the moment, it looks like he's stalling for time, but he's actually attempting to kill the murderer. He just hits the nail on the head when he tranquilizes him and then hits him with a wooden plank repeatedly. Yelling "die" is also a pretty clear clue about Loomis's intentions, don't you think? Granted, he was on the verge of death from a stroke himself, which makes this murder attempt quite believable. You'd also scramble for anything near you as a weapon when you're that angry. Up next, there's Tommy Doyle's revenge. Tranquilized yet again, The Curse of Michael Myers, we see him getting absolutely torn up by a mob. It's not the first movie in the series to do this. The guy has driven Haddonfield and its residents to pure insanity. Of course, they join forces and try to end him more than once. Anyway, while he's trying to kill Danny Strode, he gets shot with a trank again. If there's one thing Myers is gonna do, it's not learn his lessons from the past. This time, Tommy Doyle's behind the gun. This one also makes sense because Tommy's much stronger, healthier, and younger than Loomis. Let's get one thing straight. A young man with a lead pipe is a formidable force. Put a scary mask on him, and you've got a horror movie antagonist. Doyle does an impressive job of demolishing the killer with a lead pipe, and he doesn't stop. Even after it's assumed that he's dead, Tommy keeps going. Any man would have died with a thrashing that intense, but Michael is not like other girls. That's well established through the franchise. He's just something else for real. He survived it, yes, but nobody saw his survival coming at the moment. Coming up, being burned alive. Finding out Laurie's bunker is actually a trap for Mike was an absolute genius in the 2018 movie. You can't deny her plan sounded really good in theory, emphasis on the theory part. We really get a good sense of Laurie's trauma. She spent 40 whole years preparing for his return, and the Strode trap, if you want to call it that, is a well thought out murder plan. This ain't a normal bunker either, it's pretty elaborate. In the end, when we see the trio use it to trap him inside and kill him, it's mind-blowing. Before setting him on fire, they beat him really violently into it, forcing him in there. But they don't stick around till the end to see his charred remains, which of course didn't end up appearing at all. They don't see him engulfed in flames at all actually, so it's understandable how he survived. Commendable effort though, you gotta hand it to the Strodes. Now, shot 6 times. 6! One of the most iconic fake-outs of them all from the OG movie itself. In this one from 1978, Dr. Loomis's 6 shots and a fall from the balcony to kill the Haddonfield murderer feel perfectly reasonable at first. This is because, though he's still a terrifying murderer, Michael is still more of a man than a myth at this point. Of course, he still lives through this. We know this because when Loomis goes to check if his body's still there, he's gone. In perspective, it's not that shocking, but let's remember that before he was shot a total of 6 times, he did take a lot of stabbing from Laurie. Pair that with a tumble off the balcony, and that's a cocktail for death. He must have been banged up quite a lot, so how he walked it off is beyond all of us. It didn't even slow him down a little. Following up, the Haddonfield mob. A lot of Halloween Kills is spent highlighting the creation of the Haddonfield mob, the group of locals who want to put an end to Michael Myers' reign of terror and finally end the evil that has been stalking their town for years. Tommy leads the mob, and they all brutally beat Michael Myers with a variety of melee weapons, including baseball bats and shovels. It's one versus a whole crowd. It's not for the faint of heart, let's say this. One citizen gets 5 bullets in him, and Karen finishes the job by stabbing him with his own knife. It's absolutely baffling that he gets up unscathed through it all. That's why a lot of people even theorize he might not even be human. On top of that, he goes ahead and kills every member of the mob. Like, how? It really feels like he's made of vibranium or something. Let's talk about Laurie and Loomis's joint stay. Fun fact about Halloween 2, it was originally meant to be the actual end of Mike, and the other movies were going to be about new horror stories. That's why the filmmakers decided to end it with a bang, quite literally, delivered by Laurie herself. She shoots him in both his eyes, and he's absolutely helpless. Even the strongest of monsters would be. Like, come on, he's blinded, and he can't stop Loomis from filling the room with flammable gas. Dr. L offers himself himself as a sacrifice as Laurie flees, lighting his lighter and starting the explosion. An engulfed Michael stumbles towards Laurie before finally collapsing in one of the franchise's most unnerving scenes. The movie ends with a shot of Michael burning to death, so it's puzzling how Michael survives in the sequels. Or Loomis, for that matter. They really cranked up the disbelief here. How could we forget the infamous decapitation? For some people, this scene was one of the most disturbing ones. Chopping someone's head off is definitely a haunting image. It makes sense to survive it if you have regeneration powers or something, but as we all know, Mike doesn't have those. He's got superhuman strength and durability for sure, but how anyone at all can function without their whole head, we still don't know. Halloween H2O, 20 years later, was the first movie to feature Laurie Strode attempting to put her nightmare of Michael behind her after several decades since his first spree. He reaches out to her in desperation while trapped between a tree and the wrecked coroner's van, then she cuts his head off with an axe. We all winced when it happened, don't lie. It would have been a banger ending if they didn't do one of the most ridiculous switch-ups in slasher history. For real, this is up there. He had literally switched clothes with a paramedic and they revealed that Laurie ended up killing the wrong guy. Big loophole for sure, because wouldn't the paramedic have said something? It upset a lot of people, including Jamie Lee Curtis herself. She fought hard to keep any mention of the twist out of Halloween H2O 20 years later so that the film could still function as a proper series finale. Finally, his fate in Halloween Ends. The ending chapter of the franchise has to take the cake here in terms of being absolutely unbelievable. Halloween Ends wins. This one is so gruesome. We don't see any way he can come back from this. Michael was pinned to the table by knives and had his throat slit during his final struggle with Laurie. He really had no way out in the end, and the gore in this one looked so real. A lot of people had to look away. Holding him down ain't enough though. Through the scuffle, he almost strangled Laurie before her granddaughter tried to intervene and snapped his arm. For those who aren't really sensitive to graphic stuff, this was a pretty satisfying moment. Laurie ended their story by slitting Michael's wrist and letting him bleed to death. On top of that, she paraded his dead body through Haddonfield to ensure that his evil would finally end, then destroyed his corpse in an industrial shredder. Halloween appears to have come to an end, though one never knows with Michael Myers. If he can materialize out of little shreds, we might never know. We're sure he can't. That's all for this one. Which Mike Myers death is the most ridiculous for you? Let us know in the comments below. Be sure to leave a comment and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. See you in the next video.